Justice Department has dropped all charges against General Flynn. President Obama is whining about this. You have to wonder why. And I'm going to read to you some selections of headlines from the Washington Post, just so you can see what President Trump and us, those of us who stand with him, are up against. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance.
Friend, there are battles and skirmishes that matter. Now, if we were to be able to look from heaven's point of view down on America, what would we see? Big picture. And then what could we see in smaller pictures? In the big picture, we are a country who has lost its way. We're in a crisis over the pandemic, obviously. There are over 80,000 people who are dead now. 1.4 will be soon approaching 1.5 million people with confirmed cases. New York City is still in a crisis. Other areas of the country seem to be doing much better. The economic situation is getting bleaker. We are now approaching the number of people percentage-wise in the country who are jobless. We're approaching the numbers of the Great Depression. The number of mortgage foreclosures that's going to come could be backbreaking. I mean, we're still at the beginning of this financially. We don't know what the full impact of this is going to be. Maybe we'll dodge the bullet. Maybe as the country starts to reopen, things will get better. So this is going on, again, from heaven's point of view. But again, from heaven's point of view, there is not a state in this union, there is not a major city in this country where you do not have blood crying from the ground. The blood of innocent children that were dispatched into eternity by the abortionist's knife. 65 million human beings brutally murdered. So that blood is crying out to God. God sends rain on the just and on the unjust. The Bible says that he sends his rains for a blessing or for a chastisement, a punishment. In other words, the right rain brings crops. The wrong rain brings floods. We've got crazy weather going on. We have snow all over the Northeast. This is going to cause horrible crop failures with certain plants that were devastated by the cold. We can go on and on. So you've got all of these things going on. And then you have the battle for justice within the White House, the Justice Department. Michael Flynn's life has been severely harmed. Some people say his life was ruined. I don't know that that is true in the sense of he's still alive. His family is alive. There is a fundraising GoFundMe page now that is trying to help him recoup the hundreds of thousands of dollars he lost. And that battle matters. So here you have, prior to the election, 2016, you had the Justice Department go rogue and begin to spy on Trump and some of his closest associates, what their internal memos and records called an insurance policy. Should he win, that they would try and undermine him and falsely accuse him of conspiring with the Russians to win the election. We know now that that was a total fabrication. Now the Justice Department has said, let's free General Flynn of the charges, drop the charges against him, because he was trapped. They literally set out to either get him fired, to get him to rat on someone when he didn't have anything to offer, or to lie. They tried to entrap him in perjury, some itty-bitty thing, and then to extract a guilty plea from him. And now it's come to light that the whole thing was a scam. It was a fabrication. It was a criminal act against an innocent American. A criminal act. And now you have Obama, former, God have mercy on us for having him as a president, former President Obama. He's now weighing in saying that it's a great blow to the rule of law. General Flynn pled guilty to a misdemeanor. Okay? One count, one misdemeanor. Why is President Obama weighing in on that? This is going to come down, people, if Attorney General Barr does his job, this is going to start coming out. What did President Obama know, and when did he know it? For Obama, with all that's going on with the pandemic, with Joe Biden not remembering who he is and where he is, why would Obama put his finger on that? Because so many people in his administration, in the FBI, in the CIA, in the Justice Department, were part of a criminal conspiracy against President Trump and some of his closest associates. And as it turns out, the Mueller report was a threadbare attempt to vindicate the Justice Department's and the FBI's criminal activities. I don't know how much of the news you've been following on this, but it's outrageous. For those of you with computers, I encourage you to do some digging. And anyway, I'll come back to what I was going to talk about in a minute. It has to do with Google and search engines. But we're in a situation where we are fighting for the survival of the rule of law in this nation. We're fighting to survive economically now. We just added some $6 trillion to our debt. We're in a fight for our lives as a nation. And sometimes nations die slowly or they alter slowly. In other words, Holland is still Holland. It used to be a world power. It's not anymore. England was the world power. Not anymore. The Roman Empire was a world power. It's gone. The Greeks had an empire. Gone. Now, those empires collapsed or altered over generations, sometimes over hundreds of years, but it happened. So America, a nation of this size, with this much wealth, with this many hundreds of millions of people, with this many natural resources, with this type of infrastructure, with this type of military, a nation like this can't go down overnight. Even if we were to be attacked by the Chinese, if they sent some nuclear missiles at Los Angeles, the West Coast, which is where they can reach, or if Russia attacked us, the sun would still rise. Cattle in the Midwest or in Florida would still be alive to make beef. There would still be crops that were grown. So the cataclysmic effect of that would not mean that America was no more, but it would be a part, God, please don't let that happen to us, but it would be a part of what we're seeing. The trend of what America is enduring right now is going down. And I don't think that the English, at the height of their power in the late 1800s or the early 1900s, could have envisioned what they have today. What are we facing that we can't envision? I've got to take a break. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the program, friend. All right, so we're in a fight for the soul of this nation, for the survival of this nation. We haven't seen this much infighting since the Civil War. Thankfully, we are not in a hot war internally with guns going off, but we're in a war nonetheless. Make no mistake about it. It's a fight for the rule of law, law with a capital L, law that reflects the laws of God. Communism, if communism took over in this country and it was, quote, the law, it's not the rule of law at that point. It's the rule of tyranny. It's the rule of oppression. It's the rule of lies and anti-Christian premises. So the rule of law, the true rule of law, must reflect and respect the law of God. We used to do that as a country. We don't anymore. So there's a fight for the soul of this country, and the major, with the exception of Fox News Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, and a few other great radio hosts, most of the television media and the vast majority of the print media is in the hands of people that are tyrants, liars, deceivers, socialists, baby killers, hedonists, godless enemies of truth and liberty, as truth and liberty are defined by the Almighty. That's what we're dealing with. Now, I thought that this would be a fun or maybe painful exercise. I'm going to show to you the headlines of the Washington Post, all right? I subscribe to the Washington Post, to the New York Times, to the Wall Street Journal because I need to. I have a TV show. I have to do research. And they're the tail that wags the dog. The New York Times and the Washington Post are the tail that wags the dog. They set the agenda for news outlets all over the country. Here's a sample of what President Trump is up against and what we're up against. Republicans grow nervous about losing the Senate amid worries over Trump's handling of the pandemic. That's not true. Republicans are not going to lose the Senate, people. It's not going to happen. But here they go, trying to stir up worry, doubt, fear, help the Democrats raise money. Top Trump economic advisors say unemployment rate could surpass 20%. Job market could worsen. Okay, that's true. But they're also critiquing him for opening or trying to open various parts of the country. So what do they want? Do they want the job market to get worse or do they want it to get better? Here's a great one. Does Florida Governor Ron DeSantis know what he's doing? We're about to find out. Now, DeSantis has taken the 3 most populous counties in South Florida and has different rules for them. The rest of the state is beginning to reopen. The beaches are opening because they've figured out who is the most at risk, and then they are doing everything in their power to protect those people, but they also don't want people to go broke, to go bankrupt, to lose their homes, to have more people lose their jobs. So he is one of the best examples of what a governor could be doing, and here they are critiquing him. These are the same people that day in and day out praise Governor Cuomo of New York, who has been a disaster for the people of New York. There are thousands of people dead in New York because they stuck coronavirus positive patients into nursing homes. They put them in with people that were the greatest risk. When is the last time you saw a major story on that on ABC, CBS, or in the Washington Post? That's why I'm saying these people are liars. They lie by what they omit. They lie with their headlines. Here's another one. White House aides rattled after positive coronavirus tests and officials send mixed messages on how to respond. Or this one, top White House advisors, unlike their boss, increasingly worry stimulus spending is costing too much. What do you want? Do you want more money spent? Or do you want people to go broke? Do you want people to go back to work? What do you want, Washington Post? And yes, 2 people have tested positive inside of the White House for the coronavirus. Okay. Are they dying? What's their health status like? How old are they? There are millions of people right now walking around with the coronavirus, and they don't know they have it. Because either they're asymptomatic, they have no symptoms, or because their symptoms are so slight that they don't think it's the coronavirus. This is in part, people, because we still don't know what we're dealing with. We might get a year out from this and realize that it's worse than we think. We might get a year out from this and find out that we radically overreacted. So I've got to take a break. I will be right back. I'm going to continue doing these Washington Post headlines. They're informative. Don't go away. Welcome back, friend. Let's continue on with a few more of these headlines. In early days of pandemic, the U.S. government turned down offer to manufacture millions of N95 masks in America. I don't even know what the story is. I haven't read it. But I can tell you for sure that whatever this headline is indicating, like President Trump is responsible that we didn't have N95 masks, It's not true. And if they offer it on January 22nd, okay, why not offer on February 1st, February 7th? What am I missing here? Here's one. Obama says end to Michael Flynn case puts the rule of law at risk. Calls COVID-19 response a disaster. Can you imagine if Obama was president? Can you imagine if Biden or Hillary was president and this was happening? Do you really believe that Obama, who's not got a single day of experience in the real business world, that he would know what to do? That he would have assembled a group of people like the ones that President Trump has assembled? It's a joke. Here's two great ones. As deaths mount, Trump tries to convince Americans it's safe to inch back to normal. Are these people on drugs? Do you know how many millions of Americans want to go back? They already believe it's safe to go back. We're in this insane situation where you can go to Walmart, but you can't go to church. You can go buy a flat screen TV and collect the $600 a week unemployment check and sit there and binge watch on Netflix or Amazon or Xfinity or whoever. And you can go to Walmart and you can buy more toys, bread and circuses, keep this thing going. Right? But you can't go to church. But there are people that actually want to go back to work. They want to save their businesses. And they're acting like President Trump's got to urge people, it's safe to inch back. I think a lot of us think that it's safe to inch back. We're big people. We can figure out what to do. Barr undercuts Mueller investigation as Trump cheers him on. Oh, wait. The Mueller investigation was a scam. It was all based upon the fake dossier put together by Christopher Steele that was one long fabrication. Just a bunch of lies. The FBI knew it was lies. Comey knew it was lies. Mueller's people should have known it was lies. And when Mueller testified before Congress, he didn't know that it was bought and paid for by Hillary's campaign. He didn't know that it was put together by Fusion, the company. He literally didn't know. So what the hell was this man doing? How could somebody at that level of law enforcement not have known what was being talked about all around him and what the FBI's own internal documents already had shown? This is the insanity that we're dealing with, people, the malice, the evil. All right, that was the AM headlines for the Washington Post. Here's some of the PM. I left the Justice Department after it made a disastrous mistake. It just happened again. That has to do with Mike Flynn. It's a mistake to drop charges against him when he was entrapped. Biden needs a black woman as his vice president. How White House coronavirus response presents us with a false choice. Meat is not essential. Why are we killing for it? This is a vegan. This is somebody who's a vegetarian, wants to berate us because we want to eat meat. If God didn't want us to eat meat, he wouldn't have made it to taste so good. Sorry. The patchwork of state reopenings is a deadly game of trial and error. Immigrants, essential, ignored, persecuted, are committed to the U.S. Where's our gratitude? How to avert another foreclosure crisis in the COVID-19 economic fallout. How to think about Biden's choice of vice president. After the pandemic, visiting the doctor will never be the same, and that's fine. Canada is polarizing around a new partisan issue, China. So now China, who unleashed this on the world, China, who has helped cripple our economy, it's divisive. What we're doing is divisive. What Canada's doing is divisive. Chinese communists. The people who run the Washington Post have more in common with Chinese communists than they do with the founders of this country. I'll be right back. I've got to read a few more of these headlines from the Washington Post so that you understand the malice and the deceit. Ready? Republicans have already decided Trump is going to lose. Against Joe Biden? Is this a joke? Trump's reopening plan is a trap. Trump's latest effort to gaslight America is falling apart. Republicans finally realize Trump will drag them under. This is the malice. This is the deceit. People, I hope that you're considering ways that you can fight, things that you can do. I have a favor to ask you. We recently released the documentary Pandemic, The Threshing of America. You can go to my website, randallterry.com, and watch it. If you've already seen it, my favor is go and click on it again and watch it for 5 minutes. We had almost 4,000 views, but we had to make a couple of changes in the movie. So we reposted it, and now I start all over at 0. So I'm at 100 views. There's already 10,000 views on John B. Wells' website because I've told people cut and paste it anywhere they want. I'm asking you to go there and to watch it if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, just watch it again for a few minutes. And then if you can help us financially, please do. If you believe in this message and this ministry, I'm asking for your support. God bless you.